Good morning, everyone. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi everyone, hello.
Hello.
Welcome, everyone. Just letting some more people get in and we'll start in a second. Hope everyone had a great Easter break. Some well-deserved days off. Good. Oh, we are so many already. Let's get started right on time so we can finish right on time. Thank you all for joining. It's an exciting update. It's still an exciting topic, still a new topic. So we're very happy to see that our Swiss B Corp community is so engaged and interested in joining this call. So thank you very much for this. Without further ado, let's get started. So this is a call about the new B Corp standards explained. You received a newsletter, a week ago, 2 weeks ago already, with the new standards. So I hope you had time to go through it, get familiar with them. And today we're going to dive a little bit deeper. If you don't mind, please turn on your cameras. We love to see your faces here. Then we can also tell if you're looking confused or excited or worried, so we can address that. But the microphone muted unless, well, you have a question in the Q&A part. So then, of course, you're welcome to unmute. You can keep shooting your questions in the chat. We'll address the ones that we can when it comes to the Q&A part. And then, otherwise also during the Q&A, you're free to unmute and we'll address one question at a time. For the Zoom name, it's always good if you could add your name and company name. The slides will be shared with you later, so you don't need to take notes. It will be shared this afternoon still, and the session will be recorded and also shared. So just some housekeeping. Let's get started. Today we have almost our full B Corp team here with you, so everybody can answer questions, and we're here to support each other also to the best of our capacity. So we have a full house also from our side. You already know us. So today in the call, there's me. I'm Giovanna, Communications and Community Manager, for those who don't know me. Sebastian is also with us, our B Corp Director and Director of Education Programs. Andeol is with us, Project Coordinator, Certification for Medium Enterprises. Luke is also with us, the Coordinator for Certification Pending in Small Enterprises. And Timothée is with us, our Certification and Ecosystem Intern. So the 5 of us are here. I'm very excited to kick it off. For the agenda, we are going to divide this call in 2 parts. The first part will take about 40 minutes, and it's relevant for all of you. We're going to dive into the new B Corp standards, the overview, ambitions, what the requirements are. And then we're also going to tell you how you can already start engaging with the B Impact platform on the new standards. Then a very exciting part is the community support. We have prepared an exclusive upskilling, so to upskill you, and upskilling this Dispositive, and then we're gonna tell you how this is gonna work. But we're very excited to walk you through every step of the way and be next to you every step of the way on these new standards. And then we're gonna talk about B Corp standards and the regulatory landscape briefly. We're gonna have a live Q&A, and then we're gonna stop and going to the next part of the call, which will then be relevant for the B Corps recertifying in 2025 and 2026. So I ask for those to stay. That will be a relevant part of the call for you. If you're only recertifying in 2027 or 8, then, well, you don't need to stay for the last 20 minutes. Of course, you're welcome to. And then, live Q&A again. And then we wrap up. But before we start, before we dive into the standards, I wanted to remind you and look back at why your business is a B Corp. So the new standards, it's been a very technical topic. It's been a bit of a tense topic, but actually it's a happy one, because the top 3 reasons that you have shared with us of why you become a B Corp is, well, the first one, to get an external validation around business ethics and sustainability, or around your business ethics and sustainability. But the next 2 reasons, they're very special, because B Corps always say that they become a B Corp to join a community of like-minded companies that are reinventing businesses, and that they want to protect their mission. So I just wanted us to get back to this mindset, and don't think of this call or as the new standards as something technical, but as something challenging, because being a B Corp is bold. Being a B Corp is very special, and I don't need to go into the specifics of what's happening in geopolitics and around the world, but being bold now is more important than ever, and I think you all resonate with what I'm saying here, working in sustainability. So I would like for you to have this mindset of continuing to challenge the status quo, and dive into the new standards with this in mind. We need to keep using business as a force for good now more than ever, and our team is very excited to guide you along the way. So I hope I painted a good picture for you, and we're gonna get started now. I'm gonna pass the mic to Sebastián, who's gonna guide you on the new standards, the ambitions, and the stronger impact that we're aiming for.
Thank you very much, Giovanna, and good morning, everyone. It is great to have so many of you with us today, for you watching us live right now, as well, or for those watching the recording. In that segment, we will be speaking about the new standard in and of themselves, presenting to you first an overview with the big picture. What are we talking about with the new standard, and what's changing versus the V6 that you all know and on which you have all been certified in the past years. We will also in this segment go more in depth in each and every one of the impact topic in order to provide you with knowledge and insights into what each impact topic cover, why they cover it, and how they cover it. But first, just a few weeks ago, B Lab Global finally released the new version of the B Corp standard. It was, of course, a day of celebration, marking a new era in the B Corp journey. The B Corp standard have been around for around 20 years, and we have continuously developed them, improved them in order to raise the bar to what it means a B Corp for the last 20 years. B Lab Global has been on this journey together with all of the B Lab offices nationally across the world, but also our B Corp community and all of our stakeholders from academia to civil society, politics, as well as international organization. So it is with great pleasure that we'll present to you today more depth into these new standards. The future of business impact is here with these new standards, really. With the new standards, you will have better contextualization to account for your own organization situation. From a size, sector, and country perspective, it is fair to say that B Lab Global heard you, and that's something that myself and the team around me hear very frequently for you, feeling that, well, sometimes the standard do not match for your specific sector, be it manufacturing or service, for your specific region or country as a Swiss organization, but also for your specific size. Well, the new standard is taking better account of these elements for an even improved contextualization of the specific requirement you will have to abide to. The new standard also provides the most clear definition to date as to what it means to be a B Corp. Arguably, if we ask the 65 participants in this room, what does it mean to be a B Corp? We will have some core elements such as using business as a force for good, continuous improvement, very rigorous and demanding certification. But in the specific performance, there will be a variety of elements, from mobility plan to greenhouse gas emission, and so much more. That's V6. With the new standard and that better definition of what it means to be a B Corp, each and every B Corp across the world would have to comply with minimum requirements in 7 impact topics. And we will see these minimum requirements right now in just a few slides, as well as in a webinar series that we will share more to you in just a few minutes. A novelty as well of the new standard is the continuous improvement element. As you know, for now, continuous improvement was strongly recommended. There was a nudge towards some continuous improvement, but that was not a requirement. With the new standard, company will have to abide to additional performance improvement 3 years after their first certification or recertification of the new standard, and then 5 years. So continuous improvement would truly be embedded into what it means to be a B Corp from a requirement performance point of view. And last, interoperability will also be baked in the new standard. The BLab Global team has been working very hard to integrate other reporting framework, legislation, and certification scheme directly into the new standard so that organizations like you don't have to fill in new forms all the time and to try to do mapping between the various impact metrics, but to really ease that process for each and every one of you. So that's, as a high level, what's changing. Let's have a better look with more in-depth on a few elements. First, we're moving away from the 5 impact area that you know and love. In the V6, we have governance, customer, worker, environment, and community. In the new standard, we'll have 7 impact topics to better take into account the impact perimeters of the organizations. That's the acronym that you see here and that we will see more in depth in just a few seconds. Another big change is getting away from the 80-point score. The scoring system will not be present anymore, favoring instead specific requirement across all impact topics for every organization. That will bring clarity on what it means to be a B Corp on the one hand, but also a better attainability thanks to equity mechanism that will take into account the location and the maturity of the organization. Third, as we just mentioned, companies will have to demonstrate continuous improvement at each recertification cycle, steering away from you just have to meet the 80-point threshold. 3 additional elements that are changing in the new standard. During the development, BLab Global engaged all of its external stakeholders and considered external factors as well. Thanks to that, the new standard will be developed, have been developed with interoperability in mind. That will bring more attainability and more impact for the standard, giving you more time to focus on impact and substance versus mere mapping of the various standard and reporting framework your organization may be abiding to. We're also shifting away from the B impact assessment, towards a broader B impact platform. That B impact platform will encompass many B impact products. They will be released in the upcoming 9 to 18 months with elements such as comparison of the score, more specifically with benchmarks. And last, BLab Global will move away from the second-party assessment that it is carrying today and embracing a third-party verification scheme so that the analyst you will be working with will not be BLab Global analyst or second-party analyst under the supervision of BLab Global, but full-fledged third-party analyst so that 100% of the certification decision will be made by this third party. Arguably, B Corp is already the gold standard of sustainability and carries a lot of credibility with it. Tomorrow, with this change in terms of assessment and verification, credibility of the standard will be even more increased to match as well the requirements of the time. So that's, in a nutshell, what's changing from the version 6 that you're very familiar with, that you've certified, maybe recertified already under, and the new standard, as well as why it matters and the benefits behind that. On that, I would like to pass on the mic to Andéol, who will tell you everything you have to know about the various impact topics. Andéol?
Thank you, Sebastian. Yeah, I'm very excited to go a bit deeper into each of those impact topics plus the foundation requirements. So the goal here is to give you an overview of each impact topic on what's inside, their goal, and the different requirements that B Corp will have to meet, but not to go into the exact details of your size, your industry, For that, we strongly invite you to come to our upskilling sessions that we will do every week, but we'll give you more information later on. All right, so as Sebastian rightfully said, now we're going away from this 5 impact topic, and now we will have 7 impact topic plus one bit more special, which is the foundation requirements. So it's not just the 5 previous impact topic plus 2, it's a really complete rework of the impact topic, but we'll get to that in a minute. So first, before going into performance and performance impact topic, we need to make sure that any company who aim for the B Corp certification are not undermining our B Lab theory of change. So for that, we want to make sure that first they are eligible, meaning what you already all know, they are for profit, they are not just an entity or brand, so they have distinct legal status. They did the B Corp legal requirement, which means adapting your article of association or status by incorporating the B Corp clauses. And third, and newly, company will have to create a risk profile, and that will be with the help of a risk profiling tool that will be developed in the near future by the lab. And it's with the aim for any stakeholder to be able to see any risk, if there is any, associated with a B Corp. So that's for the foundation requirement. I won't go into detail because it's basically the same eligibility criteria as we have right now with the addition of this risk profile. All right, but so now if we dive a bit more into the impact topic on improvement and impact. I will start with the purpose and stakeholder governance, where here is that while we acknowledge that B Corp who do the B Corp legal requirements, it might be that in some country, in some jurisdictions, sorry, the legal change is not available. So for that, we really want that every company act on the letter and the spirit of these legal requirements. And what we mean by that is having public-facing purpose statements, which are in line with our theory of change, is implementing stakeholder governance and stakeholder governance accountability. Obviously, also having responsible marketing and public relation, because any change must also be endorsed by the top and by the leadership. We also want leadership accountability. And for the company who are responsible or who are required because of their size, we will also ask some requirements on non-financial reporting. All right. Because no change can be done alone, and because it's really at the core of our value that we want to create a movement to have a systemic change, we really believe that collective action is a requirement to achieve this collective change, this systemic change. So for that, we will ask now company to put in place policies on responsible lobbying, to act with their local partnerships, with their local associations, with their also economic partners on collective action, and to put those actions in place, and also obviously to have responsible tax participations. So we couldn't really talk about sustainability without talking about human rights. It's really something that is also the core of what we do. And that's why you also need a separate impact topic. So for that, again, depending on your size and your industry, but we will ask company to obviously commit to respecting human rights, but to identify and address every salient human rights issues that might be due to their activity, to also work on mitigating those negative human rights impacts that they might have. And because those impacts might not be only related to their own activity, but also to their whole supply chain, we will ask them to collaborate with their suppliers, with their supply chain to achieve their human rights objectives. I hope I'm not informing anyone that we are facing a major climate issue, and that we all need to address this issue. Otherwise, we won't be able to do any businesses in the future, or maybe not even to live. That's why we will ask every B Corp to tackle this issue. Obviously, here it will be greatly depending on your industry, on your size. You will see when we'll go into the depth of each requirement or each impact topic in the upskilling sessions. Most of the requirements might be common to every industry, but here in climate actions, because climate impact can be very different depending on the industry, we will have much more granularity and requirement really depend specific to each industry. But anyway, we will ask any B Corp to at least evaluate, analyze their greenhouse gas emissions to contribute to the global goal of being net zero, of having net zero emissions by 2050. And for this contribution to happen, we will ask companies to set reduction target, to build a climate action plan to help achieving this massive goal. But when we talk about environment, it's not only about climate and about greenhouse gas emissions. Your activities can have much broader environmental impacts. And that's why we also separated the environmental stewardship and security impact topic from the climate action topic, because we want to address them differently. So here we also ask every B Corp to first analyze and understand what type of environmental impacts they might have. Obviously, we also want to ask them to address the environmental impact that they analyzed previously. And it could be through implementing circularity principle to develop the circular economy, and by putting environmental strategy into practices. Again, to tackle such a massive matter, we cannot do it alone. So we really also will ask companies to engage with their suppliers to pursue the same environmental objective and to walk the same path to achieve the goal faster and in a more sustainable way. If we go a bit out of the environmental and climate actions, we need to talk about JEDI, which is, for the wrong reason, a very topical matter currently. And I think that's with such strong wind facing us, I think it's only the right occasion to double down on that matter and to be sure that we are creating safe workplace where any individual can thrive, and that we prevent any type of discrimination in the workplace. So for that, again, the first step is really to collect data to be able to inform your JEDI actions, and then to be able to choose and implementing JEDI actions. Also, here will be a bit of a special impact area because it will be more pick and choose, a bit more a la carte impact, where you will be able to choose the type of JEDI action you want to put into place, because it's a very complex topic and not every JEDI action might be relevant for your company. So depending on your size, you will have a certain amount of JEDI actions to put into place, and that you will be able to choose inside either foundation sets, within the workplace sets, and beyond the workplace sets. So again, depending on your size, your industry, you will have to choose a certain amount in each of these sets. So in JEDI, we talked about making sure that minorities and underserved populations are treated well, but obviously we also want that every and all workers are treated fairly and with dignity. And that's the whole goal of the Fair Work Impact topic, where we want to make sure that companies set clear expectations, clear goals for employees, to implement fair wage practices. Obviously, with the same idea of stakeholder governance, we want company to consider feedback from workers on decisions that might affect these workers, and to be able to then make the change, build on those feedback to make a better workplace, to then be able to improve the workplace culture. So we've seen very broadly each impact area, but also what is kind of a new requirement, and as Sebastian said, is the requirement to have a continuous improvement mechanism. So in the past, we've seen most of the big corps who always try to do better, because I think we're all driven by the same goal to make the world a better place, and to use business as a force for good. But it was not necessarily a requirement. So here you will see that when we go into the detail of each impact area, there will be specific requirement for year 0, meaning for the first time that you certify under the new standards. And then at each recertification, there will be additional requirements. And you will have to provide evidence that you're continuously working on your impact and trying to improve your impact. So that's really something that is new and that really is at the core of this new standards. And on things that are new or will be new, I think you're all also waiting for information on the IBMs, the impact business model, which is really something that is part of our identity of the B Corp certification and identity. And on that note, so we've been gathering feedbacks also during the process of building these new standards. And we really recognize that every stakeholders were really asking for those IBM to stay in place. So that's really our goal, to still have IBMs part of the new standards. And that's why we created a working group, which is currently working on it, on how to valorize IBM within this new framework. And if you're interested in participating to this work group, feel free to contact us, and we'll also put you in relation with the people responsible. But there is also a lot of open questions. That's why we're still working on it, on how to integrate those IBM with this third-party verification, which will be also the core of the new standards. So for the moment, they will not be available, but they will be in the future. We're really working strongly on that to make sure that they reappear in our certification standards. Same for the possibility to exceed performance requirements. Here also, stakeholders are the strong voice on having the possibility to show and to highlight that they go the extra step, that they are not only fulfilling the kind of the minimal requirements, but that they already go further and beyond, and they want to be able to showcase that. So we're also working on a way to see how we can integrate this type of highlights into our standards and into our brand recognition. But for the time being, they won't be also available, but it will also come later in time. So we went a bit broad and a bit fast, but everything comes at a certain moment, and it's step by step. So if you want to go also deeper into every impact area, into each requirement for your company and industry, then you can already do it by going into the impacts platform, and I will lead Luc to lead you on how to do that.
Yes, thanks, Anil. As you said, I think it's worth mentioning how you can actually engage with those new B Corp standards on the B Impact platform. As you saw a couple of weeks ago, the look and feel change on your platform. We thought it would be worth mentioning some short functionality and features that are now available. First one here, how to engage and how to unlock those new standards into your account. You simply need to log in into your grant account, hit get started on the new home page. So you can see here on the screenshot on your right, and you will see the new self-assessment section that will appear. As you can see here on this screenshot, on your left, you will see self-assessment with this new acronym on it. And then we have two subcategories. The first one is the dashboard, and the second one, the requirements themselves. So for the dashboards, into this, you can see which tasks are planned to be done or in progress or already done. And this provides you a really good overview of where you stand regarding those new standards. Regarding the requirements, if we take an example here on framework number 1 and the sub-requirement framework number 1.1, you will see some project management features on your right of the screen. Those project management features enables you to set task status, to know where you're at with those different tasks, to set yourself deadlines also internally, and define responsibilities between your team members. As this is a feedback we had several times, it's also easier for you to delegate with your colleagues, to work into team, engaging with the B Corp standards. And this is something that's been heard and implemented into this new platform. You can see here also, in this example, climate action number 2.1, some resources and guidance. So you have here a submenu with some recommendations, implementation resources, terms and definitions. So really useful material for you to really understand what is rated for you regarding these standards. And we also have some compliance criteria on the platform directly. What is more worth mentioning is that the track update does not change the self-assessment. So once you created your self-assessments, so if you make the first step I did before, you then create your first self-assessment and be aware that the track that you have selected will be the same as your current profile. If for any reason you would like to explore any other requirements, for example, if your company expects to be bigger in a couple of months, a couple of years, you should create another profile with the corresponding track. So really important to note that into your platform. Sebastian, we will briefly explain you the upskilling dispositive, which is really important for the upcoming parts.
It's mine, actually. So I'm going to take over. So now you've seen roughly the new requirements, the new impact areas. And this was quite broad, right? So let's talk about how we're going to dive deeper into them. And like I said in the beginning, we've prepared this exclusive upskilling dispositive. The way that this is going to work is, as of next week, we'll be launching an 8-week program so that we can dive into the 7 impact topics plus the foundation requirements together. And this upskilling dispositive is going to come in 4 components. Every Friday, starting tomorrow, you're going to receive an email from us with a quick video, 10 to 15 minutes, explaining the impact topic of the week in depth. That's going to come on Fridays. You're also going to receive in that email an Excel sheet that already guides you through the sub-requirements of each impact topic. And then we're going to help you. There's a step-by-step on that sheet on how in just 20 minutes, you can already start skimming through and feeling if that's going to be a hard topic to achieve or an easier one, or you understand but you're not quite sure what to do. So it's just a traffic light system for you to feel where you are with that new impact topic. So that comes on Fridays for you. And then on the Thursday of the following week, we're going to have a 1-hour workshop on this Excel sheet together with companies from the same size, so that everybody shares a little bit how they're feeling, what they think. Some companies might think an impact topic is easy, others think it's harder. So you can share, and also with us, we can go about it together, and then we'll dive deeper into the video plus the Excel and do kind of a workshop on each impact area. We're also going to have throughout all this time a parking lot. We're going to share the link of this parking lot with you, and that is for your questions. So every time you have a question, you can put it in the parking lot, and we'll address, for example, if it's a question about fair work, we're going to address in the fair work workshop, and so on. So you can keep this parking lot next to you while you're going through the video, so that you can always add your questions there. So this is going to start next week. Exactly. So tomorrow you get a 15-minute video on the foundation requirements, and then I hope to see many of you next week for our first session. And it's always going to happen on Thursdays, except for 2 Thursdays in May that are holidays. So those weeks will be on Wednesdays. So next week is one of those cases. So I hope to see a lot of you, many of you next week for this first workshop. And yeah, next slide. Well, yeah, just a little bit. Well, what I explained a little bit more in depth, you can read it once you receive the presentation. And then here's the order for you. You can screenshot, but you'll also receive that order. You'll receive a calendar invite for this repetitive meeting, and you can always see what is the impact topic of the week. And like I said, on Fridays, then you'll receive the video. So video series plus weekly online workshops plus parking lot. And in the middle of all of that, or not in the middle, but towards the end, we're also excited to invite you for an in-person Be Together. You're also going to receive information about this in the email that I'm going to send this afternoon with the recording. So then in the Be Together, we can meet in person, share our concerns, share our excitement in person, and yeah, work even more on those new on the new standards. Next slide. And I pass the ball back to Sebastian to guide you through the regulatory landscape.
Thank you, Giovanna. Thank you, Andre, and thank you, Luc, as well. Let's speak now about the regulatory landscape, specifically in the European Union, with what is being called the Empowering the Consumer for the Green Transition, or ECGT directive in short, which is a new European regulation. The goal of that regulation are basically to give European citizens the tools to make informed choices and prevent practices such as greenwashing or even early obsolescence. Thanks to that, consumer will receive answers to questions such as, is the product that I want to buy really sustainable? And is the environmental claim on the product truly reliable? How is that? Well, the European Union will ban, as some of you certainly know, generic environmental claims on products without any proofs, claims that a product has a neutral, reduced, positive, carbon neutral impact on the environment because the producer is merely offsetting emission. And the EU will also ban the use of consumer-facing sustainability labels that are not based on approved certification schemes or established by public authorities. We're very happy that the new standard launched by B-Lab Global will be compliant with that directive of the European Union. So companies that are certified, respectively recertified under the new standard, will be fully compliant to that regulation. So let's have a word on ECGT and the new B Corp standard. That directive will come into force into September 2026, just over 18 months from now. As we just mentioned, the current version of the B Corp standard does not meet the new legal requirement imposed by the regulation. So the V6, the current one, is not meeting that requirement, but the new standard will be meeting and are effectively meeting the legal requirement imposed by that. In order to help companies on their journey to compliance, B-Lab Global is working to create certification pathway respectively recertification pathways, to enable companies to be certified on the new standard, V7 EOS Evolution of Standard, by September 2026 to ensure compliance with the ECGT. We will be communicating details as soon as we receive them at BLab Switzerland from BLab Global, and we'll be sharing them with you ASAP in due course. We recommend checking with your legal advisor to see if you will be impacted as an organization by this regulation. If you suspect to be impacted, we have a form that we invite you to fill in to track organization likely impacted, and the team will be getting in touch directly with your organization in order to discuss the specifics of the application of the regulation to your organization. ECGT is the main regulatory focus we wanted to do in the framework of this info session. And so now I would like to open the floor for a few questions. We'll go up until 11:45 before moving on to the recertification discussion for B Corps recertifying in 2025 and 2026. I'm turning to Luc for questions from the audience.
Yes, thank you, Sebastian. I think the first question, let me just check in the chat. So first question is about the recertification timing. The question comes from Maria. Does this mean that recertification is every 5 years with the new standards, as you presented that there is this year 0, year 3, and year 5 requirements?
Right. Thank you very much, Maria, for the question. That is indeed what we're being communicated, that organization will have to meet the year 3 requirement, so recertification year 3, as we receive the information. And then there will be year 5 requirement that will have to be met as well. The specifics of this recertification cycle will be shared by BLab Global to the national BLabs very soon, and we will be making sure to communicate to them as we receive them. Hopefully, we will still receive them as we launch and roll out the webinar Dispositive that Giovanna presented to you a few minutes ago. Another question?
Right, yeah, I see in the chat that you guys cannot hear me well. I will make the best so you can hear me perfectly. Another question that we have, from Manuela, does a proof document need to be uploaded for each question in the new standard assessment?
Thank you, Manuela, for the question. The idea to move from second-party verification to third-party verification does not change anything in the sense that organization will still be expected to prove what they say they do, what they say they have as an impact, right? So you can still very much expect the requirement on the organization to prove the impact they allegedly have, so that it comes from alleged impact to effective proved impact. As to which document should be uploaded to match which the requirement, normally you should be able to follow the same logic as with the current visits, namely any document that can reasonably support the claim made by answering the answer option in the impact topic in the questions.
Great, thanks, Sebastian. I think to be time-wise regarding this session, we move on to the next subject, and actually this will answer Alex's questions regarding the recertification. But before that, I think we have quite an announcement, right? I think it's Giovanna or Sebastian managing it.
Yes, exactly. Before we move on to the next segment about recertification, I would like to pass on the mic to Giovanna for 3 announcements. And to be sure, rest assured, all of the questions in the chat are being transferred as I speak into the parking lot, the EOS, the new standards parking lot, and that will be a dynamic parking lot, as Giovanna mentioned. So you will be able to find all of the questions in that parking lot and to find answers to this question on a rolling basis in the upcoming weeks. On that, Giovanna, I would like to pass the mic to you again.
Thank you. Just some quick updates before we say goodbye to some of you who are not recertifying in 2025, 2026. If I can get the next slide. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This one. So first announcement, Swiss Impact Forum early bird tickets are out. Make sure to get yours. It's limited availability. So now you have 50% off. And our topic for this year, well, as always, it's going to be November, 12th of November. And our topic for this year is From Impact to Prosperity, a New Paradigm. So what we're going to be talking about is not just what comes next globally in terms of sustainability, but also how to build it together. So as we say, the world doesn't need more incremental change. It needs really a bold rethinking. And we want to move forward from impact and go towards prosperity. So early bird tickets are available. Secure yours. The next update is, drum rolls, the Swiss Future Award. If you have not applied yet, we're really looking forward to receiving your applications. You have the chance of winning 25,000 in funding plus 6 to 12 months of coaching, of impact business coaching. And there are 2 categories for this award. Actually 3. So there's the Innovation and the Environmental Award, and there will also be a Public Choice Award. Applications close at the end of June, so make sure you apply. And finally, another announcement is that there is this conference, Swiss Climate Reporting Forum in Zurich, happening in May. And as B Lab, we have the chance to offer our community 3 free tickets, another 10 with 20% off. So if you're interested in joining this conference in Zurich, reach out to me and I'll help you get those free/discounted tickets. First come, first serve. Great. Well, now we go into the next part of our call, which is for the companies recertifying in 2025, 2026. If you're only recertifying later, you're welcome to stay, but well, it's also not necessary. So thank you for those who are leaving us. And yeah, let's get going, team.
Thank you, Giovanna, and thank you to everyone for attending this first part of the session. As you mentioned, this was the goal to have a general overview of what are the new B Corp standards about. But now we will really deep dive into 2 different subjects. So 1 different subject, sorry, about the recertification for companies in the short term, so 2025 and 2026. So here, if we can go on the next slide, maybe. Sorry for that. Go. Well, thank you again for participating. And let's dive now into this subject of recertification in 2025, 2026. First thing you need to know is if you're a company with a recertification due date before June 30, 2026, you have the choice actually to go into the current standards or to go on the new B Corp standards. So that's really a great thing because you can decide depending on the ETGT regulation. Example given, if you have any presence in Europe, if you think that those performance requirements better fit your context, or if you decide for any other reasons to recertify into the current standards, you can do so. But be aware that you have a submission deadline that is in June 30, 2025. So I really insist into this deadline because if you say, okay, I will recertify on current standards in July, August, whatever, it won't be possible. You really need to submit by June 30, 2025. So this is your first option, going for the current standards, but you can also decide to have an extension. I will come back to that and go into the new B Corp standards. All subject about extensions will be addressed in the next slides. Then, if you're a company with a recertification due date from July 1st to December 31, 2026, you must recertify under the new B Corp standards. You don't have the choice anymore. The goal is that we have a smooth transition with those new standards and that you will be one of the top-notch companies on those new standards, actually one of the first companies being certified on evolution of standards. So that's why you will also have an extension. So on the next slide here, you will get granted some extensions to ensure that you will have a smooth transition. What are the extensions about? The extensions are an additional up to 12 months to finish the recertification process. So this will ensure that you will have enough time to familiarize yourself with those new standards and also have the time to adapt your documentation, whatever.
This will be granted to B Corps recertifying in 2025 and 2026 that decide to go on the new standards. So again, if you decide to go on the current standards, there is nothing that changed. It's really about new standards. It's really an opportunity for you to familiarize yourself, to take the time to not have any stress regarding those new standards and be focused and having, actually a lot of more resources, time-wise, but also resource-wise with your team. Those extensions will be released by B Lab Global, usually automatically. Be aware that it will be done directly. On your side, you will complete the self-assessment and prepare for recertification and submit when you're ready and when the time has come. On our side at B Lab Switzerland, we will work and monitor to ensure that progress is made on your side and provide you upskilling support, as we discussed before, with those workshops and videos. And we will also support you and ensure that you're all time-wise good with those recertification deadlines. So be assured really that we are here also for you regarding this transition. The next step now, how should you engage with those new standards? Firstly, will be to decide your strategy, depending on your situation. As I said, should you go for the current version of the standards or for the new version? That's really up to you, depending also on the context. You can engage now with the new B Corp standards or decide to submit with the current version. Be aware once again about this submission deadline that is in June 30, 2025. And if you have, of course, any questions, we are here to support you. So you can get in touch with your respective key account managers. So Bertie, Andéol, or myself, or also Patrick. And of course, we are here to really accompany you into this exciting pathway and making sure that everything goes smoothly and answering your questions as you are understood during this whole session. For now, I propose that we have another short Q&A session to ensure that if you have any general questions about this topic, we can already have a glimpse of it. I turn to my colleagues. I don't hear anyone taking the mic, maybe Andéol or Sébastien. Do you see any questions regarding this specific topic of recertification at this point?
Well, maybe we can address the question from Alexi from Discoverat, which I think was partially answered with your presentation, Luc. But just to clarify, so for company already certified under V6, your question is, will we have the option to switch to V7 or the new standard starting September 2026 without waiting for the recertification? Is that correct? So indeed, B Lab Global is working on pathway for company also currently certified or being recertified under V6 to be able for them to do an early recertification under the new standard if it's, for example, important for them according to the ECGT directive, for example, to be compliant with the ECGT directive. So there will be the possibility to have this early recertification. If it's a matter of ECGT, I would even strongly advise to do it before September 2026, just to make sure that you are certified under the new standard in September 2026 when the directive is in place. I hope that answers your question, Alexi.
I think it answers, and I will jump on Nicole's questions about, do we still have to submit 6 months before certification deadline? That's actually a great question. And the answer is no. For recertification with the new standards, we consider now the recertification deadline, so not the submission deadline, which was 6 months before your recertification. So really have a look at your B Impact profile on the B Impact platform, and you will see the recertification deadline. And this is really the dates that we will consider when speaking about deadlines at this point. Do we see any other questions in the chat?
We have one from Hamzi from Grupo. Does it mean that if we have to recertify in 2027, we don't need to make it after 3 years and after 5 years? Not completely sure I understand, but I will try to summarize just to make sure. So if you recertify in 2027, which means we're certifying under the new standard, there will still be the requirement to at least show at year 3, so 3 years later, and years 5 years later, that you are meeting the requirements specific for those years. For this idea of continuous improvement and so on. So there's still a bit some question on how they will take place, if it's as currently with the new recertification process and so on, or if it might be a bit a speed up process. But there will still be the requirement to show at year 3 and year 5 that you are continuously improving.
Great, thanks, Andreal. I'm also checking the chat, but I don't think there is specific questions on that. As we said, we know that there is also a lot of information in the air, also with everything we provided regarding EOS, regarding this recertification pathway. And again, I insist, we are here to support you in that sense. Do not hesitate to contact your respective key account manager for very specific questions into your case, so we can really address case by case any situations. And I think this will close our Q&A session to be sure to finish on time. I will pass on the ball to Sebastian to conclude this session.
Thank you very much, Luc, for the presentation of the recertifications and element. We hope this session proved useful for you. As you understood, we focus the main content on the substance, on the performance requirement itself, elements regarding the process, recertification process, and so on, will be coming on a rolling basis as well as we receive them from BLab Global. As a reminder, you will receive tomorrow already the first email for the first session of that community upskilling Dispositive that will happen next week. And so tomorrow, Friday, you will receive the first email with the video inside, as well as the first Excel spreadsheet for the foundation requirements. And that will go on a rolling basis, as we mentioned. We can't wait to move forward on this journey together with you. And we thank you for your trust, for being in this impact journey together. We remain, each and every one of us, gladly available for any follow-up question. See you next week. And in the meantime, have a great rest of the week. Bye-bye.
Bye.